Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Om Gungurubhyo Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Aim Saraswatye Namaha. Om Gananam Tva Ganapati Gum Havamahe. Kavim Kavinam Upamashravastavam. Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashrinmannodipisi Dasadanam. Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha. Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Satchidanandamurtaye Nishprapanchaya Shantaya Nidalambaya Tejase. Om Yasyatmabhudasya Guraprasadat Aham Vimuktosmi Samsara Bandhat Sarvopadeshtu Shivanandamurte Mridvakriyukmam Pranadosmi Nityam Dayasindhum Dinabandhum Shastrarthabodhana Patum Maskarindra Varam Nomi Sri Chidananda Sadgurum. Om Praninam Dukkha Hartaru Jnanado Bhuvana Muktaye Shivananda Chidananda Ashraye Guru Sattamu. Om Shantatmanam Pranadasulabham Siddha Vidya Prabhavam Bhaswadrupam Suguna Nilayam Dvastakarma Divargam Prajna Vruddham Nija Samadrisham Taradam Tyagibhadyam Sakshadisham Mamuguruvaram Shivanandam Natosmi. Shivanandam Natosmi. In the most holy name of our beloved Master Swami Shivanandaji Maharaj, I offer my salutations to all those present there, to the indwelling presence in all of you, and my humble homage to all of you. I am to share with you today on the Interfaith programs that is being carried on in India at the moment through our ashrams and through some of our Christian friends. You know that after the Second World War, it brought about huge loss of life, poverty, suffering in the world, especially in Europe. However, many of the European nations endured the pain and quickly rose up, and they developed a good economy. There was industrial growth, and these things helped them to forget the pain of the war. Although there was economic growth and industrial growth, it also brought certain other changes simultaneously. The younger generation lost in the traditional institutions. They have lost in their political faith, and also there was a disenchantment in all that is tradition. You can notice this not only in Europe, even in the West America, there was revolt. The youngsters did not believe in any of the religions. They were totally disenchanted with the traditional faiths, beliefs, religion, etc. But we also find that some of the youngsters developed significant interest in the Eastern mysticism, Eastern occult, Eastern philosophy, Eastern meditation techniques, etc. A number of Western thinkers have also started probing into the Eastern mysticism, Eastern philosophies, more deeper into them. Buddhist form of meditations, yoga, the Indian meditation techniques became very popular in the West and Europe. In this scenario, then both people who are interested in philosophy, people who are interested in theology, and those who are connected with religion started thinking about why don't we have an interfaith dialogue like that. So also for a social well-being and for peaceful coexistence, it was a need to have interfaith dialogue. So it started coming up now and then, here and there, everywhere. In India, the there was a lot of tolerance, and there is a tradition that to accept the other theories. It is very common here. In the Indian philosophical thoughts, many of you may be knowing, there were different schools of thought like Vedanta, like the Purvamimamsa, that is the Karma, there is the Yoga, there is the Sankhya and the Nyaya, and different schools of thoughts where there some are traditional orthodox, some are heterodox also. Although these schools are different in certain aspects, there was something which is common also. Way back in maybe 3000 years before, there was a great saint by name Gaudapada. So he has written a commentary for a small Upanishad in which he says we can reconcile with all these thoughts, and we don't contradict any of these things. We can subsume, we can accept all these things, and because ours is a higher truth and it will absorb all that is, it will subsume all that is the relative truths. Suppose if there is a higher truth, absolute truth, the absolute truth will not contradict anything. It will accept everything. Likewise, in our different faiths, there may be changes, there may be variations, there may be contradictions at the periphery, but the inner core is always the same, and we can always accept that inner core and coexist also. So some of the great thinkers from the West have also come to India, and they have found this, the absolute truth is common in all religions, it's common in all faith. One such very saintly person who came and lived in India in our ashram is Swami Abhishek Tananda. He was a Jesuit father from France. He came to India, he took the life of a mendicant, took sannyas, and then he stayed in the Shivananda ashram, the Divine Life Society, and he studied the scriptures, and he started in a very big way the interfaith dialogue in India. So I was mentioning that some 50 years before, one of the Jesuit father from France who came to India and took to the life of a mendicant, he was known later on by the name Swami Abhishek Tananda, and he stayed in the Shivananda ashram and started the interfaith dialogue in a very big way. Similarly, one of our Swamijis, Swami Venkateshananda, he was in India. Later on he moved to Australia. He was staying in Perth, and he together with a father there, he started in a big way the dialogue between the two faiths actually, and he compared Christ and Krishna. Suppose if you go into the philosophical thoughts in the Bible and in the Vedanta, we will find many things are very common. So for example, there is a statement in the Bible that Emmanuel means God is with us. And we in India also believe that the indwelling reality in us is the Paramatman. The Atman is verily God. So we call it as Antaryami, and you call it as Emmanuel. And then there is a statement here, but in the St. Matthew's we will find, be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. So we have to be perfect like our Father in the heaven is perfect. That means, so as our Father is heaven is perfect, likewise we have to be perfect actually. So the Vedantic thought is always that God is all pervading, the God is the indwelling reality in everyone, and everything here is verily God only. So in the Vedanta, the creator and the created are non-different actually. The creator and the creator are non-different. The created and the creator. Yes? Have you mentioned it?
Okay.
The creator and the created are not different. They are identical. They are one and the same. So we find a parallel in the Bible that which says, final verse actually, and now, O Father, glorify thou me with thine own self, with the glory which I had with thee before the world was. This was by John. And in India they believe that the saintly persons are like child actually. They say that the saint and a child are identical. A child and God is also identical. So there is a statement in the Bible which says that ye shall not enter into the kingdom of God unless ye convert yourself and become a child. And also we have certain practices, devotional practices, which are very identical with the Eastern Orthodox churches. In the 19th century, one Russian devotee, a traveler, wrote a book, and it was translated by a Jesuit father of France, Father R.M. French. The title of the book is The Way of the Pilgrim.
Follow me.
I don't know whether you are familiar with that book. Do you know that book actually?
Знаете new book? Yeah, we actually know. It just has a little bit different name in Russian.
So it was translated into English by a French author, and he has titled it as The Way of the Pilgrim. There he says he was trying to learn prayer without ceasing, uninterrupted prayer. That is the topic of that book actually. In India, this is a very common thing that people used to say, you continuously keep praying. Swami Shivananda in his universal prayer says, let thy name be ever on our lips. And also we think that whatever activity we do, it should be a worship, it should be a prayer. Prayer should not be confined to a holy place, a temple or church. Whatever we do should be a prayer. If you go into the Philokolia and you go through these very statements, the life of people, then we find that most of the Eastern Desert Fathers and others, they have dedicated their life for prayers. And their life itself is a prayer. There is no special prayer time. Their life itself is a prayer. There is a common idea among the Indians also. And then there is a statement in the Bible also, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. So the God is with us always, even unto the end of the world. So whatever activity we do should be a God-oriented activity, an activity of the God. That is the common concept in India among the devotees and among the Vedantins. So we have the Indian faith is that we are basically divine, and somehow there is a veil. We have forgotten our divine nature and we act otherwise actually. So that all the spiritual exercises are to manifest the divinity in us. So God is not to be located somewhere, He is very much with us. So we have to unveil that actually. And you see that in St. John says, whom ye seek, whom seek ye? I am he whom you seek. Like that John mentions. Okay? So what we are seeking is our own inner personality. So we have to allow them to manifest. The divinity in us has to manifest. Thus we find there are many things are common, and an interfaith dialogue will help us to understand each faith better, and also it will help us to in our spiritual exercises, in practicing the spirituality. So, and not only that, it will also bring about a change in our outlook, more peaceful coexistence, more better understanding of the different people, and better relationship. All these things it will pave way for that. So in India there is, so now there is lot of dialogue is going on interfaith and intrafaith also. Among the Indians also, among Indians, there are a lot of different faiths are there. So there is an interfaith dialogues are also going on. There are intrafaith dialogues are also going on to help us to understand. So this is by sharing. Now I will, if there any questions are there, I will like to interact with them. So that will throw more light actually.
So the first question is, what do you think about Jesus Christ? What is Christ for you? What is the personality?
Here, actually, in the Indian concept, everyone is God actually. Everyone is God incarnate actually. Everyone is divine. So Christ is also divine for us. Christ is very identical to Sri Krishna, to the various deities. So Krishna and Christ, we make no difference. In our ashram, we celebrate the Christmas, and we keep picture of Sri Krishna and we keep picture of Christ, and both we worship. Another point also, when we consider God is all pervading, God is omnipresent, then everything here is God only. So if you enter into a jewelry shop made of all gold ornaments, whatever be the type of jewelry there, everything is gold only. Likewise, whatever we see here is personification of God. That is our faith, that is our philosophy, because God is omnipresent. And in India, the master, the guru is considered personification of God. So we don't make any difference between the guru and the God. We don't make any difference between yourself and the guru and the God. God is guru and guru is yourself. Yeah.
Can you say a few words about evil? What is evil according to your opinion?
Evil actually, see, then when there is a concept, see, we accept that God is all pervading. No religion says God is sitting at some place. All the religions, all the faith accept God is all pervading. So when God is all pervading, you and me are we are interconnected to each other. We are not entirely different as we think. But somehow there is a psychological error. I consider you are different from me, and I am different from you. I consider that I am independent, and I consider that you are independent. In that relationship, we act in a way sometimes to cause damage to the other person. We try to arrogate ourselves. We are more selfish because of the faith that you are different and I am different. In our body, the toe is different from the eye. The toe, big toe in the leg, is different from the eye. But at the same time, we know the toe and eye belong to this one structure, one thing, the body. Both belong to. Likewise, there is a relative existence. You have got a relative existence, and I have a relative existence. But we belong to one organic whole that we forget. Because of that, the problem comes. We create problem to the other persons. We are at loggerhead with each other. We cause unnecessarily unhappiness to other people. This we call it as evil. The concept of otherness is the problem. That is the evil. So the concept of otherness creates a problem between you and me. So if you consider both of us are one, then the problem is less. There is no problem. That is the fundamental evil. From that, all other evil starts. When Christ says, love thy neighbor as they love yourself, what does he mean by that? There's a statement in the Bible which says, leave there thy gift before the altar and go thy way. first be reconciled to thy brother, and then come and offer thy gift. Matthew says that leave there thy gift before the altar and go thy way. First be reconciled to thy brother, and then come and offer the gift. So the reconciliation with your brother is good, and the irreconciliation, the fight, the loggerheadness with your brother is the evil.
Any more questions?
Yeah, one more question.
Yeah, please. Welcome.
And that is from the dean of our faculty where we stay now.
Very happy actually.
Okay, if the creator and the creation are identical, then what is the process of creation? What is the process of creation like?
Yeah. I understood the question. The creator and the creation are not identical. The creator and the creation are one and the same. When you say identical, there are two things are there, they are identical. It is not that way. They are one and the same actually. So now the Vedantic concept of creation is, it is like this. There is a famous Upanishad called Mandukya Upanishad. There it is dealt with elaborately. Suppose if a person is dreaming, in the dream he creates himself. In that dream, suppose if he is flying from Russia to India, he see the flight there. In the dream, we create ourselves. In the dream, we also create. Suppose if you are moving in Russia, so you create a Russia of your own, and you are moving, and you are interacting with so many people. All those people with whom you are interacting, all the materials you see, the space, the time, the people, the object, everything is your creation. So whatever you see in the dream is your own creation. Likewise, so the Vedanta gives too much importance to the dream state actually. In the dream state, what we see is our creation. Likewise, the world is also a creation. What we see now is also a bigger dream. So what we see here now is only God is only seeing other gods actually here, but he has got a different concept, as our concept in the dream is something distorted. Likewise, what we see now is also distorted. So it is a distorted version, but it is valid actually. It is a valid version, but it is a distorted version. The moment you realize, then you see that everything is beautiful here. Everything is God here. When God's in the Genesis, they say that God created man in his own image and breathed into him this life. So that means God has created in his own image us. In his image means this is exactly identical with an Upanishad statement that God created us in his own image and breathed into us the life. So only the creator and creation are not different.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Yes.
Another question?
Yeah.
Swamiji.
Yes.
Thank you very much for your lecture. I would like to ask a question which is going to be rather complicated, but I will try to make it short. So you started with the concept of interfaith dialogue.
Yeah.
Then when you were asked about the nature of Christ, you said that Christ is divine just as anybody else is divine. But for Christians, as far as I know, Christ is a unique phenomenon.
Okay.
So it seems that you just invite Christians to deconstruct their religion, to reject the very basis of their religion.
No.
Is it a dialogue?
No. It's not that. It's not that way actually. It is not that way. They can maintain their uniqueness. Even now we also consider Swami Shivananda as a unique person, a God realized person, a God man we consider. So while accepting that he is a God man, he also says everyone is also divine also. Everyone is divine, but he has understood that divinity. The divinity is manifest in him. The divinity is not manifest in us. That faith we don't want to alter actually. That faith is perfectly okay. We also believe that Krishna is God. We also believe that Swami Shivananda, our master, is a divine person. For empirically, we are different actually. The absolute level, he is divine and I am divine. At the absolute level, it is okay. We don't bring him to that level of us actually. He is a divine person, no doubt about it actually. He has got a unique personality that we never question that. That is an absolute reality and there is an empirical reality. This is an empirical reality.
Swamiji, thank you. And now just give me several minutes to reproduce the question again and your answer, okay? Yeah, I'm sorry, because it was in English and the reply was in English and I was not translating.
So you have to translate that into Russian and then again translate into...
Yeah, just a moment.
I would like to add little more here. Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. And we have one more question.
Now I will add to little more in that text.
That question.
In that question also.
You want to say more about
a little more.
Okay.
When we started with interfaith dialogue, I did not talk about Christ. Who is Christ? What is your concept of Christ? I did not say that. That was a question put to me actually. What is your concept of Christ? Then I said that Christ is this. So okay.
One more, I will translate.
And then we kept, and also I told that in our ashram when we celebrate Christmas, we keep Christ's picture and Krishna's picture and worship both actually. So that unique personality of Christ is always accepted actually. Like Krishna's personality accepted, it's accepted.
Big camera, I think.
Swamiji, so the question is, how do you imagine for yourself the exact proceeding of the interreligious dialogue? So how should we organize and manage the interreligious dialogue? And what would be the result? What are you waiting from the interreligious dialogue?
Interreligious dialogue, how far it is relevant in Russia, I do not know. In India, we have got people from different faith are there. And therefore conflicting views, and it is a social necessity actually. So that is one aspect. And the second aspect is there is disenchantment of religion and philosophy among the younger generation. So it is a necessity of all religious groups to bring about some faith in them and to understand the usefulness of that. So that is the second aspect actually. So these are the two aspects. Also I think that in Russia, the younger generation may not be interested in the theology, in the rituals, in the religion and the philosophy. So to bring about some changes in their life to prevent them going into the dark sides, they have to be fed with philosophical ideas, the good points that are there in the religious books, especially the Bible. So the philosophical points have to be contemplated upon. And another point is, as long as the country is poor and people are hungry, when the belly is empty, they can't think about philosophy. Once their belly is full, then naturally they can think of higher things actually. So once you are economically stable, then they can think about something higher so that their life can be more sublime, more serene actually. All the philosophers, some 50 years before, the Scandinavian countries were considered as very economical countries, and there was so much of security, welfare states. They were considering themselves as welfare states. And one man wrote a book that although this is a welfare state, people are not happy. So he wrote a book, Trouble in Paradise. So once they are economically stable, then there have to be some more things for their intelligence to ponder over. something to contemplate has to be provided to them, so that they will be more happy, they will be more peaceful. So countries in the West, they have to be fed with something higher than the simple rituals, so that they can dwell on those things and make their life more sublime actually. Yes.
Thank you. And we have one more question. Давайте сначала один, а то времени нет. Swamiji, so the next question is, what is your opinion about your neighbors in India, that is Buddhism and Jainism, who also have a great and deep philosophy and tradition, and because in this religion actually there is no any entity that created the world, there is no creator, and the creation of the world is regarded as some objective process. So are these traditions, let's say, false or Nastika, as you say, according to the Advaita Vedanta? Okay. Or what do you think about that?
The word Nastika does not mean it does not mean that it is a God negation. It is the Sanskrit word Nastika means, all the traditional orthodox religions accept the basic text, the Vedas. Those who accept other things, not the confining to Vedas, but accept other things they are called Nastikas. That does not mean they deny God actually. There are Jains in India, and there are very few Buddhists also in India. So the Buddhist philosophy is not very different from the Indian philosophy. Coming to their actual the experimental part, they give more emphasis on ahimsa. Equally so with the Jains also. And the Jain philosophy and the Indian philosophy, the Indian different thoughts are not loggerheads with each other. So there is total acceptance. The Jains accept the Indian concepts. They go to the Indian temples, the Hindu temples. The Hindus go to Jain temples. Absolutely, there is no distinction here. The Buddha and the Jains, Mahavir, they are also considered as one of the prophets actually, one of the rishis, one of the great saints.
This is your answer?
Yeah.
Is all?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other? If there are any doubts are there, I will clarify that.
Thank you very much, Swamiji. And we have one more question at least. Swamiji, actually our audience is really interested in your opinion about Jesus Christ still, because there is one more aspect. You said that you equally worship Krishna and Christ in your ashram.
Yeah.
But there is one more aspect in the personality of Christ, because for Christians, Jesus Christ is not only the divine incarnation or manifestation, but Christ is the redemptor of the world. That is, he redeemed the world. He paid the price of atonement to God for the humanity. He saved the world from its sins. So what do you think about this?
That's perfectly okay. Perfectly okay.
You're okay with the concept?
Yeah. We don't. What is there to contradict actually? They have this. There is
no, because they say the Christians, they believe that the world is kind of full of sins, and the only way of salvation from this circle of sins is to accept Jesus Christ, who already sacrificed himself for the sins of
that. The only the difference is only carry my yoke and follow me. Follow me did not mean that follow Jesus Christ and follow the Christianity actually. Carry my yoke and follow me means carry my yoke and follow my principles. So whosoever follows their principles, it can be found elsewhere also. So it can be, if anybody who follows those principles is okay. The Redeemer means he is not the Redeemer. He has given the policy of redeeming actually.
Okay.
Okay, the person, anybody who speaks on his line is equal that. Even among Christians also, they accept other policies, other theories which are identical with that, which are good. So anything good can be accepted.
Swamiji, we have another question, and you started our conference with a prayer.
Yeah.
So people, our audience, they want to know to whom you are praying and what was the main idea of your prayer.
I prayed to my master actually. I prayed to my master to bless my words. To my master, Swami Shivananda.
So Swamiji, it means that we can pray to a guru also.
Yeah. We see that our the Indian concept is actually God, Guru and you are one and the same. When the Christ, we believe this way, I and my Father are one. When we say, it applies to me also. My Father and I are one. You are also veritably God for me. Why should I deny that?
Yeah, well, there's a comment on from our audience that Christ did not say that everyone is the same as his Father. But everyone is one with his Father. Christ said, I and the Father.
But I is a common terminology, you see. Whosoever repeats it, he means he only. We could not go into dogmas. Okay, if you don't want to, if anyone doesn't want to consider himself, that if he wants to consider that I am the servant of God, it is fine for us. Those who want to think that I belong to, I belong to him.
You think that when Christ said that I and the Father am one, it was just a matter of the language. In reality, he meant all
maybe
people.
That way.
Anyone can say.
Maybe that way also. Or he can be alone that way because we are not realized. When you realized, it will become say. And there is also a statement. I have glorified thee on earth, and thou glorify me. Now before the world was, that was also there, you see. So it can be said by everybody.
Then we have another question.
Yeah.
We have many questions and so on.
Who is asking for the
So the question is a bit complicated. So there are two approaches to the interreligious dialogue. The first approach can be considered as when you try to understand another religion from the point of view of a person who belongs to that religion.
Okay.
That is the first approach.
Okay.
And the second approach can be when you try to explain another religion from your own point of view.
Okay.
So how can we correlate these two, and which approach is better in your opinion?
When we are trying to understand each other better, when you become more contemplative, then we can understand better actually. That we need not actually go into dogmas and this is this way, this is this way, this is this way. That we need not go. There are so many areas which are common, and there are so many areas which are helpful to us to understand this better. See, love thy neighbor as you love yourself. We can be accepted by anybody.
So, Swamiji, the question is, you mentioned contemplation as the mainstream of interreligious dialogue. But in reality, when you start contemplating, you enter the sphere of the spiritual world. And in the New Testament, in the Epistle of Saint Jacob, there is some warning to Christians that you should not believe any spirit that you come across with in the spiritual world. We should test what you feel, what you experience in the spiritual world.
Okay.
So how can we really understand when we come across with, how can we test this spiritual world and our experiences and the beings that we come across with in the spiritual world?
I can't understand the question.
The question is, how can we test our experiences in the spiritual sphere, whether they are correct or not, when we contemplate?
When you the spiritual experience, the spiritual experience is not a contemplation. Contemplation is something different. Spiritual experience is what you experience. The experience doesn't need any proof actually. You know it actually. And then okay, this part you answer, and then I have got something else to say. The interfaith dialogues are not very common in India. Actually, the Western philosophers and Western thinkers, they studied the Indian philosophy, not religion actually, more into philosophy actually. and especially Western religions, Germans, the Russians, and all, many people actually studied this, and the French, the English, they studied the Indian philosophy, and they only compared, brought out all those things. We have never studied this much actually. We never thought about these things. Here in India, interfaith dialogue is mainly to avoid unwanted conflict actually. So there the Western approach is more to understand what exactly the theory is like that. The first the World Religious Conference was held in States in Washington and not in India actually. So many people went there from the Eastern, went there. So this is not common in India actually. Sometimes because people come to us, we discuss. Otherwise, normally we don't discuss this actually. It is not a...
So what about contemplation?
Contemplation is actually it is one way of meditation actually, and contemplation is an intellectual thing actually, but experience is that intellectual contemplation gives you certain experience. That experience you can understand what it is actually. It doesn't need any proof. It is.
No, but the question was how to test whether experience is correct, whether it comes from the divine or comes from some other
experience.
Because in the Bible there is a warning that you have to test your experiences, whether they are true or not.
That I can't say, because for me, I do not know where exactly it is said like that. If the see, what I feel actually is, if you have an experience, the experience must, you should be perfectly happy, perfectly peaceful and serene, and the world will react to you like that. So an experience, it doesn't need any proof actually, you will know that actually. That is the test actually.
So if we got you correctly, contemplation is a kind of a witnessing method of reality. So you just witness the reality, but you are not involved with the reality or with what is happening. Contemplation is when you witness the reality and you are not involved in that.
I don't think that way actually. Contemplation is actually certain facts. You analyze it in your mind and trying to understand it at the deeper levels. That's what I think actually contemplation. Witnessing the reality is, according to me, it is different actually. So contemplation is actually you are thinking about it, pondering over it, and then come to certain conclusions. In your serene moments, you are not carried away by any other things. In the serene moments, you come to a conclusion like that. According to the metaphysics, who am I is one contemplation. What is my relationship with God? What is God? And what is my relationship with God? What is my relationship with this world? And what is my relationship with everything here? That's a contemplation, according to me actually. According to the philosophy, it is metaphysics.
Swamiji, we asked most of the questions that we wanted to ask you, but now probably you have any questions to us.
No, I don't have.
If it is polite to ask it.
Thank you. I don't have questions. I'm very happy with interacting with all of you. And one more thing I want to tell you, that in India, our philosophy is not too much connected to religion actually. Philosophy is little different from our theology. Theology is little different and philosophy is different. Vedanta is nothing to do with Hinduism as it is actually. Vedanta is entirely different actually. So that is why some of the questions I am not able to, or maybe my answers may not be very relevant to you actually. Because our Vedanta has nothing to do with religion. We can accept any religion. We accept facts actually. So the creator, or what is the reality, this great spirit, all these words we use, we can accept anything also. We can accept any word for that great spirit. For us it makes no difference.
Swamiji, actually I was asked to ask my own question because probably the audience, they think that they could forget something, or I don't know. But for me, at the moment, it's quite difficult to invent any special question, because we talked to you quite recently in December, and actually I myself don't have many questions. But I think that I would, if it were my first meeting, I don't know, I would ask you about the following thing. Do you think that the process of spreading of Vedanta outside India, that is to Europe, to America, to Russia, is a positive development, or Vedanta should be philosophy of Indian people and of, let's say, of Hindus? So do you think that spreading Vedanta and Hinduism outside, out of India is a positive process or not?
No, Vedanta it is not a religion to be spread actually. It is a thought actually. It is like Socrates, Plato, or this, like that only actually. Plato's philosophy, Plato's theory of forms, or Socrates' ideas. It has nothing to do with the people actually. Whosoever wants it, he takes it actually. There is no question of spreading actually. Vedanta philosophy is not something to be spread. It is not that way actually. We study, we think about Plato, we know about Socrates, we know about Kant, we know about Augustine. Like that, it is only a theory, it is only a theory actually. It speaks about what is reality. It is epistemology.
But what about Hinduism itself? Because Hinduism is also spreading out of India. Hinduism along with Vedanta, they are being spread together.
That is interconnected. There are other people who are not Hindus. They are also carry Vedanta. They also believe Vedanta. They also study Vedanta. So somehow it is they have been connected actually. Vedanta has nothing to do with Hindus. Vedanta has nothing to do with Hindus. Vedanta is a science actually. It is a school of thought. Because the Western philosophy and the Western thoughts are connected with Christianity, they think it that way. Max Muller came and wrote about these things. And then Sir John Woodruff, they were not Indians, they were not Hindus. Sir John Woodruff wrote about the serpent power and other things. The first books were written by the Westerners. It was not written by Indians.
Это дополнение к тому вопросу. Swamiji, still we have a kind of misunderstanding about the nature of religious experience, because the audience is interested in this question. So you said that any experience is just an experience and it doesn't need any proof and so on. But is any religious experience a true experience? Is it possible to have a false religious experience? Any spiritual experience which is false, which is wrong, which is negative?
That is a psychological disorder.
The false experiences are psychological disorder.
See, the best simple thing actually, we don't want to call it as a religious experience, first of all. The God experience actually. We don't bring God into religion actually. So God experience, when one gets God experience, then he will be in a state of bliss actually. And wherever he goes, he will make the other people bliss. His presence will make you happy. You know, have you come across with the book, Practice of the Presence of God by Brother Lawrence? I do not know whether you have come across with that. There,
I will advertise Brother Lawrence.
Huh?
Advertised.
I will advertise Brother Lawrence. Because people in Russia still don't know about that.
Okay. And then when the Mother Superior goes there, when he goes near him, she finds so much peace. Then she asks him, Lawrence, what is that you are practicing? I find so much peace here. So if you have that experience, that peace is there. The peace will be felt by people around you. They will make the whole area peace. So it doesn't need any proof actually. You are the proof.
So Swamiji, the Dean of our faculty and the audience, we are heartily grateful for your address, and you gave us many interesting insights and maybe motives for contemplation, and probably we can think about some further cooperation and future dialogues if they are interesting for you. Yeah. So we are very grateful, and thank you very much for sharing your thoughts and ideas with us and for answering our questions as well.
Thank you. I'm also I feel very happy having interacted with all of you. Especially I have got a great love for Leo Tolstoy, and you belong to that country. Many of his stories we used to quote. When we teach, actually, many of his stories we used to quote, actually. They have got the philosophical base, actually. It is common throughout the world. It is the ideas of the humanity. It is not sectarian, actually. So those we can accept everything, actually. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and Pranam Swamiji.
Pranam, thank you.